Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the video. A new start in a small town. Emma had always lived in big cities. She grew up in London, went to university in Manchester, and later found a job in Birmingham. Her life was always busy, full of noise, traffic, and people. At first, she enjoyed this lifestyle. There were always things to do, new restaurants to try, and events to attend. However, after a few years, Emma started to feel tired. Every morning, she woke up early, rushed to catch the bus, and spent nearly an hour in traffic. At work, she had many responsibilities and often felt stressed. When she returned home in the evening, she was too exhausted to do anything except watch TV and go to bed. One day, Emma visited her cousin Jake, who lived in a small town near the coast. The moment she arrived, she noticed how quiet and peaceful everything was. There were no loud cars, no crowded streets, and no long lines. People walked slowly, smiled at each other, and seemed relaxed. During her visit, Emma and Jake spent time walking by the sea, cooking meals together, and talking for hours. Emma realized that she hadn't felt this calm in years. She began to wonder if she should change her lifestyle. After returning to Birmingham, Emma couldn't stop thinking about the small town. A few weeks later, she made a big decision. She applied for a remote job that allowed her to work from anywhere. Luckily, she got the job. Within 2 months, Emma moved to the same town where Jake lived. At first, she was a little worried. She thought she might feel bored or lonely, but soon, she discovered new hobbies. She started painting, joined a local book club, and even learned how to cook new dishes. Life became slower, but also more meaningful. Emma still worked hard, but she now had time to enjoy her life. She often went for walks by the sea after work and watched the sunset. Looking back, Emma realized that success was not only about having a busy career, it was also about feeling happy and balanced. Moving to a small town was one of the best decisions she had ever made.
The unexpected journey. Daniel had never planned to travel alone. In fact, he had always preferred going on trips with friends or family. He believed that traveling was something you should share with others. However, sometimes life does not go as planned. It all started when Daniel and his best friend Mark decided to take a 2-week vacation in Italy. They had been talking about this trip for months. They wanted to visit Rome, Florence, and Venice, try traditional Italian food, and take hundreds of photos. Everything was ready. They had already booked their flights and hotels. But just 3 days before the trip, Mark called Daniel with bad news. "I'm really sorry," Mark said. "I can't come. I have a family emergency." Daniel didn't know what to say. He was disappointed, of course, but he also understood the situation. "It's okay," Daniel replied. "Family comes first." After the call, Daniel sat quietly in his room. He looked at his ticket and thought about canceling the trip. Traveling alone felt scary and uncomfortable. What if he got lost? What if he felt lonely the whole time? That night, he couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the opportunity. He had already taken time off work, and everything was paid for. Finally, he made a decision. "I'm going," he said to himself. "Even if I'm alone." The beginning of the adventure. At the airport, Daniel felt nervous. He watched other travelers chatting and laughing together, while he stood alone with his suitcase. For a moment, he almost changed his mind, but then he remembered why he wanted to travel in the first place: to see new places, learn new things, and experience life differently. When he arrived in Rome, he was amazed. The city was full of history, beautiful buildings, and lively streets. On his first day, he visited famous places like the Colosseum and the Trevi Fountain. At the fountain, something unexpected happened. A tourist standing next to him dropped her phone into the water while trying to take a photo. "Oh no! My phone!" she shouted. Without thinking, Daniel quickly helped her. With the help of a nearby worker, they managed to get the phone back. "Thank you so much," the woman said. "I'm Sophia, by the way." "I'm Daniel," he replied with a smile. They started talking and soon realized they had similar travel plans. Sophia was also traveling alone. Do you want to explore the city together tomorrow? She asked. Daniel hesitated for a second, but then said, Sure, why not? New friendships. Next day, Daniel and Sophia met early in the morning. They spent the whole day walking around Rome, trying local food, and sharing stories about their lives. Daniel realized something important. Traveling alone didn't mean being lonely. It actually made it easier to meet new people. Over the next few days, they continued traveling together. They visited museums, took trains to Florence, and even got lost once in a small street. Instead of feeling stressed, they laughed about it. This is part of the adventure, Sophia said. Daniel agreed. For the first time, he felt completely free. There were no strict plans, no pressure, just the excitement of discovering new places. A lesson learned on evening in Florence. Daniel sat in a small cafe, thinking about everything that had happened. If Mark hadn't cancelled the trip, he would never have had this experience. He would not have met Sophia. He would not have learned how independent he could be. He took out his phone and sent a message to Mark. Hey, I just wanted to say thank you. A few minutes later, Mark replied, Thank you. For what? Daniel smiled and wrote, For not coming. This trip changed me. The end of the journey. On his last day in Italy, Daniel went back to Rome. He visited the same fountain where he had met Sophia. This time, he stood there quietly, remembering everything. He felt more confident, more open, and more excited about the future. Traveling alone had seemed frightening at first, but in the end, it became one of the best experiences of his life. As he threw a coin into the fountain, he made a wish. I'll come back.
The year that changed everything. When Alex graduated from university, he felt both excited and confused. For years, his life had been simple and predictable. He went to classes, studied for exams, and spent time with his friends. But now everything was different. He had to decide what to do with his future, and that decision felt heavy. Most of his friends already had plans. Some of them found jobs in big companies, others decided to continue their education, and a few even moved to different countries. Alex, however, felt lost. He had studied business, but he wasn't sure if he really wanted to work in an office for the rest of his life. One evening, while scrolling through social media, Alex saw a post that caught his attention. It was about a volunteer program in another country. The program offered young people the chance to travel, help local communities, and learn new skills. Without thinking too much, he clicked on the link and started reading. At first, it sounded too good to be true. Travel, experience, and personal growth, all in one opportunity. But there was also a challenge. The program required participants to stay for at least 6 months in a small village, far from big cities and modern comforts. Alex leaned back in his chair and thought about it. 6 months away from home, no close friends, no familiar places, and possibly limited internet access. It sounded difficult, even scary. But at the same time, it also felt exciting. The next day, Alex mentioned the idea to his parents during dinner, a volunteer program in another country. His mother asked, surprised. Yes, Alex replied. It's not a job, but I think I could learn a lot. His father looked at him carefully and said, Are you sure this is the right step for your career? Alex hesitated. I don't know if it's right for my career, he admitted. But maybe it's right for me. That night, Alex couldn't stop thinking about the conversation. He realized something important. He didn't want to make decisions based only on fear or expectations. He wanted to try something different, even if it didn't fit the usual path. A week later, he applied for the program. A month after that, he received an email. He had been accepted. Suddenly, everything became real. The day he arrived in the village, Alex felt completely out of place. The houses were simple, the roads were quiet, and the people spoke a language he didn't fully understand. There were no large shopping centers, no busy streets, and no familiar sounds of city life. For the first few days, he struggled. Communication was difficult, the food was different, and he often felt lonely. He even thought about going back home. One evening, while sitting alone outside, an older man approached him. The man smiled and said something in his language. Alex didn't understand, but he smiled back. After a few minutes of simple gestures and broken words, they managed to have a basic conversation. The man introduced himself as Matteo and invited Alex to join him and his family for dinner. At first, Alex felt unsure, but he accepted the invitation. That dinner changed everything. Even though they didn't share a common language, they shared something else: kindness. Matteo's family welcomed Alex warmly. They laughed, showed him how to eat traditional food, and made him feel like he belonged. From that moment, things slowly started to improve. Alex began learning basic words in the local language. He helped children in the village with simple school activities. He worked with other volunteers on small projects, like building a playground and organizing community events. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Alex noticed changes in himself. He became more patient, more open-minded, and more confident. He stopped worrying so much about the future and started focusing on the present. One day, while working with a group of children, a little girl asked him, "Why did you come here?" Alex paused for a moment. It was a simple question, but the answer was not simple. "I think," he said slowly, "I came here to understand something." "What?" the girl asked. Alex smiled. That life is not only about plans. It's also about experiences. As his time in the village came to an end, Alex felt a mix of emotions. He missed his family and friends, but he also knew he would miss this place deeply. On his last evening, the villagers organized a small goodbye gathering for him. There was food, music, and laughter. Matteo gave a short speech, thanking Alex for his help and friendship. Alex didn't understand every word, but he understood the feeling. When he finally returned home, everything looked the same, but he was not the same person anymore. His parents noticed it immediately. "You seem different." His mother said, "I am different." Alex replied, "So, what's next?" His father asked. Alex smiled, but this time, he didn't feel confused. "I don't have a perfect plan," he said, "but I'm not afraid anymore," and for the first time since graduation, that was enough.
The day everything felt different. Lena had always been the kind of person who planned everything. She had a notebook where she wrote her daily tasks, weekly goals, and even long-term dreams. Every morning, she woke up at the same time, made her coffee, and followed her routine without thinking too much. For years, this system worked perfectly for her. She had a stable job at a marketing company, a small but comfortable apartment, and a close group of friends. From the outside, her life looked organized and successful. But deep inside, Lena often felt that something was missing. She couldn't explain it clearly. It wasn't that she was unhappy, she just didn't feel truly excited about anything anymore. Her days felt repetitive, like she was living the same day again and again. One rainy Monday morning, something unusual happened. Lena missed her bus. Normally, this would never happen. She always left her apartment at exactly the same time. But that day, she had spent a few extra minutes looking out the window, watching the rain fall slowly on the streets. When she realized she was late, she ran outside, but the bus was already gone. At first, she felt frustrated. "Great," she said quietly to herself. "Now I'm going to be late." She checked her phone and saw that the next bus would arrive in 20 minutes. Normally, she would feel stressed about wasting time, but for some reason, she decided to just sit on a nearby bench and wait. As she sat there, she noticed things she had never paid attention to before. The sound of the rain, the smell of fresh coffee from a small cafe across the street, and the quiet conversations of people passing by. After a few minutes, she stood up and walked toward the cafe. Inside, it was warm and peaceful. Soft music was playing, and only a few people were sitting at the tables. Lena ordered a coffee and sat near the window. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't thinking about work. While she was sitting there, a man at the next table accidentally dropped his notebook on the floor. Papers spread everywhere. "Oh, I'm so sorry," he said, trying to pick them up quickly. Lena immediately stood up to help. "It's okay," she said. "Let me help you." As they collected the papers, Lena noticed that the notebook was filled with drawings, beautiful, detailed sketches of people, streets, and buildings. "Did you draw these?" she asked. "Yes," the man replied, smiling a little. "It's just a hobby." "They're amazing," Lena said honestly. "Thank you." "I'm trying to improve," he said. "I come here almost every morning to draw." They started talking. His name was Daniel, and he worked as a freelance illustrator. He explained how he left his office job a few years ago because he wanted to follow his passion for art. It wasn't easy, he admitted. At first, I was scared. I didn't know if I could earn enough money, but I felt alive again. That sentence stayed in Lena's mind. I felt alive again. After finishing her coffee, Lena realized she was very late for work. But strangely, she didn't feel stressed. Before leaving, Daniel said, "You should come here again sometime. It's a good place to slow down." Lena smiled. "Maybe I will." That day at work, Lena couldn't focus. She kept thinking about the cafe, the drawings, and the conversation. Everything felt different, even though nothing had really changed. In the following days, she found herself waking up earlier, but not to follow her usual routine. Instead, she gave herself extra time. A few days later, she returned to the cafe. Daniel was there again, drawing quietly. "Hey," he said, recognizing her. "You came back." "Yes," Lena replied. "I think I needed a break from my routine." From that day on, Lena started visiting the cafe regularly. Sometimes she just sat and watched people. Sometimes she brought a notebook and tried drawing, even though she wasn't very good at it. At first, she felt uncomfortable doing something she wasn't skilled at. But slowly, she began to enjoy it. One evening, while walking home, Lena realized something surprising. She was actually looking forward to the next day. Weeks passed, and small changes continued to happen. Lena started saying no to extra work when she felt tired. She spent more time doing things she enjoyed. She even signed up for a weekend art class. Her life was still the same in many ways. Same job, same apartment, same city. But her perspective had changed. One day, her friend asked her, "You seem happier lately. Did something big happen?" Lena thought for a moment and then smiled. "Not really," she said. "I just missed a bus." Her friend laughed. "That's it?" Lena nodded. "Sometimes," she said, "small moments change everything."